is an awesome panel. We were planning for Patients Day 2020 in March of 2020, but obviously back then we all knew what happened and we had to stop, but we reached out to a good friend of ours, a partners over at Southwest Partnership, and thought about a project. We wanted to talk about the 4 pillars of health. I'm pretty sure we all have heard them some form of fashion, either all together or one individually, but we realized that you can't talk about one and not talk about the other. Can't talk about 2 and not talk about the other 2. So we've, at the Patients Program, are fortunate enough to have some awesome partners, some awesome colleagues that we can, a phone call away. Some are even a Zoom away during this time of planning. So I'd like to thank them in advance for taking the time out today to join us. But we're going to be talking about the 4 pillars of health: physical, mental, spiritual, and financial. We have some awesome panelists going to be speaking, and we have a fantastic moderator right here from West Baltimore, right here from the Southwest Partnership. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the moderator for our second panel is Mr. Curtis Eady. You got a question? Okay, cool.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, good morning, good morning. All right, all right. Yeah, so here with the 4 pillars of health, I just want to take time to reflect upon how it's been an awesome opportunity for me being a part of the Patients Program and learning how research actually impacts me as just a person, how I have more input and I have more say in the healthcare practice that the people who take care of me and my family. You know, sometimes starting out, we don't always think about who can we talk to. Sometimes we don't always trust our doctors. Sometimes we don't trust the idea of going to therapists. But through the Patients Program, I looked at how we as people, we have, you know, more power and more say in our healthcare practice. And up here today, we have 4 people, practitioners, experts in the 4 pillars of health. So I want to get the opportunity to introduce our 4 panelists today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chauncey Whitehead, owner and president of CDW Health and Wellness, LLC, a fitness and wellness company located here in Baltimore. Last October, I celebrated my 20th year serving the Baltimore community.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Frank Lance. I serve 2 roles in Baltimore City. I am the senior pastor of the Mount Lebanon Baptist Church in West Baltimore, and I'm the president and CEO of Parks and People. So, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Erica Lewis. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Social Work here at University of Maryland, and I'm looking for some abs, so I'm going to need to talk to you a little bit later. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Natasha Horton. I work for Truist Bank. I'm the Community Development Manager, and I cover the entire state of Maryland, with Baltimore being my home.
Awesome, awesome. Great panelists that we have. I'm going to actually start with you, Miss Lewis, and looking at the financial pillar, the importance of understanding what your expenses are in relationship to your income.
So Erica or Natasha?
Sorry, Miss Natasha.
Probably me. Okay. So I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
What is the importance of understanding your expenses in relation to your income?
So you really want to understand how much money is coming in and how much is basically going out. You want to get your arms wrapped around debt, really, and your savings. And so a budget really would afford you the opportunity to do so. There are other things like a spending plan. So if you're really worried about, like, well, where's my money going? How many of us in the audience use debit cards a lot, right? I think I'm the only one that still carry cash, I was told yesterday. And I'm in a bank, so they're like, you should be using debit cards. But if you use your debit card a lot, like imagine going to buy lunch and you're always swiping, or wherever you're going, you're always swiping. How are you managing how much is going out? So when you get paid, you're sitting there looking like, well, why do I only have $2 left in my account when I just got paid? And a budget really will help you manage that. In addition to a spending plan, there are 2 different things. Spending plan is really managing how you're spending your money, but a budget is really there to help you understand what's coming in and what's going out.
Yes, yes. Understanding what's going in and what's coming out. Sometimes that's the same impact that we look at, not just financial results, we look for those same results when we're doing physical fitness. Mr. Chauncey, Looking at the importance of being active and how, looking at those inputs. If I put in 20 hours a week, sometimes I'd be looking like my abs should be coming. I'd be thinking that they're coming, right? 20 hours a week just don't always cut it for me because I haven't been able to cut past the fat to get them abs yet. So just looking at the results, sometimes how important is it for us to consider results and weighing our inputs and how much effort we're putting in to our physical fitness?
Well, I'm going to kind of piggyback on Natasha. It's kind of what you put in is what you get out. You have to budget for it. Six-pack abs don't come overnight. They don't come in a couple of hours. They come with good, healthy eating and consistency. Just as Natasha talked about with banking and your financing, your fitness has to be consistent. You got to think about what you put in is what you put out. So I try to tell people to be consistent and do what you can. Do what you can and be consistent about it. Nutrition and physical movement, they work together. Most people try every January to do them both. I'm going to eat better, I'm going to work out, and I'm going to have six-pack abs by April. So not all of us may reach the six-pack abs, but you can live healthier. And one of the things that I tell people is do what you can. Do what you can and be patient. Just be patient. As Natasha talked about with finances, save $1 a day. Exercise 30 minutes a day. And think of it in 365. By the time you get to the end of the year, I guarantee you would have lost some weight and you would be living a little bit healthier than you did 364 days before that.
Just continuing there, what you're working out with, does it matter what you're working out with and where you're working at? Like your location, is it comfortable sometimes for people to be at home? Can they get the same results where they're working out?
Yes, you can. There was a woman that was circulating around Facebook and social media, Miss Ida. She had lost a lot of weight from her chair, getting up during the commercials, walking around her chair and dancing during the commercials. Everyone does not have access to a gym. Everyone does not have access to a track. But if you have access to your home and you can get up and you move, you can do exercises at home. One of the things I try to do with my clients and the community is remove the reasons why you can't exercise. So I try to show all of my clients, just like when we did the stretch break, if you can't stand up, everything we did you can do from a chair. So I try to remove the barriers that limit you from exercising and movement.
Great. I mean, that's why I wanted to follow up for financial, the physical, because some people look at that as a barrier. The finances to do that physical workout, sometimes going to pay for a gym membership monthly seems a little bit challenging, but if it's what you need to do, because being at home is more comfortable for some. For me, I need that motivation. I need to see others. I need that sometimes be with others. But everybody has your own path to being healthy. We want to switch over to Reverend Lance. Because we know coming out of this now post-pandemic, can't really say post, we're still here, everyone's still masked up. But in this relationship to health, has the church's role towards physical health or towards spiritual health changed in matters of how in this post-pandemic?
So I think that's a good question. Sorry. I think that's a good question. I would step back a little bit and say that for places of faith, we always should have been dealing with the whole person. So what COVID did was make paramount the need to, made it paramount the need to focus on the whole person. But for us, we believe in what we call trichotomy, the mind, body, and spirit. And so if all we're doing is focusing on spiritual issues, then we're missing the point. So we always should be talking about the psyche. We always should be talking about the sarche, and we should be talking about the spirit. And so what COVID has said is step back and focus on your foundation, which is everything. And so now we're doing that.
Yeah, that's holistic health, and you hear a lot of the words of practice in today's community, holistic health, from spiritual. I know for me personally, during COVID, I realized I was working on my physical health, but my spiritual health was lacking. And sometimes you do a reflection. If you do, you give reflection. Just look at what in your life is going good, going bad, how those things have been impacted. The people may have changed, the places may have changed, but you have your physical being, your financial being, your spiritual being, and your mental health. And so having that balance. But I learned that my spiritual health, because we went from in church and having my church community to online. And I'm an engager, so it's like I was already shut off from my work family. I was shut off from just outside. But having my church family not being able to engage, it hurt me in other ways that I didn't think about. So that's spiritual health, but being engaged, it's something about coming and communing together. It's a little different than being zoomed in. Ms. Erica, so looking at mental health, could you, what are some ways that you feel, what are some supportive ways that you could ask people about their mental health? Like if I'm dealing with something, how can I, even just sharing, so what are some ways to maybe just, hey, somebody, I'm not crying out for help, but I'm giving the cry out for help, and or what are some ways that you feel we can approach our friends and family members and asking about their mental health?
It's a great question. I think there are three major ways. The first way is to be intentional about asking. So, you know, when you meet somebody or you're just saying hi, what do we normally do? Hey, how are you? Somebody will say, fine, you just keep moving. And that's fine, but as you're moving through the conversation, bring it up again. How are you doing? And being more intentional about being ready to hear the answer. And not allowing people to say, oh, I'm just fine. Okay, well, yeah, what does fine look like for you? And then from there, having that real conversation and being intentional can be helpful. I also think doing something called the name and claim, where you're naming the observation that you're seeing from someone and asking them how they're doing is helpful. So, hey, I noticed that you don't come to the park with us anymore as you used to, or I'm noticing that you seem a little bit more sad than you have been before. What's going on? And that opens up the opportunity for people to then realize what other people are noticing and maybe open up and talk about what's happening. The third piece would be to ask how you can help someone. So how can I help you? It could be that they say they need a listening ear. It could be that they need help with errands because they're stressed because they've got so much going on. It could be that they need resources. And so being able to ask somebody how you can help them can be very helpful. Oftentimes you'll see that people don't know what they need or because they haven't had a chance to really sit and think about it. So even if you find that thing that might be helpful, asking them and being specific. So, hey, would it be helpful for me to help you run some errands? And then that maybe can help with some of the stress or things of that nature.
Could you share an example of how the other three pillars are connected to mental health?
I think a lot of it has been said, and the big piece is that it's interconnected, that, it's hard for someone to think about their mental health if they can't keep their lights on, or if they have a financial emergency and they can't take care of it. It's difficult if you are feeling sad or depressed, to get up and go to the gym or do those crunches. And so these things are connected. I also think the beauty of it is that because they're so interconnected, if you start to focus on one, then others can fall in line. So if you are focusing, if you believe in God and you have a spiritual relationship, that brings you peace, and gives you more faith and brings you peace. And so maybe you have a better just sense of self. So then you can go into the bank and figure out how you're going to tackle the issues of maybe saving or whatnot. Or maybe you're feeling motivated to go to the gym or connect with a friend and go out for a walk. And so knowing that if you I say start small, focus on one, and then see how it can lead into to impacting others, the other pillars of health.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Mm-hmm. Reverend Lance, just looking at, we're here with, in the research community. This is, hosted by the Patients Program. So some things that research may say sometimes combat the spiritual community. So just considering that R word, research, does it carry a bad or hesitant feeling with the community? Since you've been a partner here with the Patients Program, what have you seen and say? What would you say?
So I think that's an interesting question. Research can carry a negative connotation if the researchers don't have the patients at the heart of the work that they're doing. And so what we've seen historically is that there have been instances in which the researchers had some nefarious activities that were taking place, and then what that leads to is this matter of distrust. I think that paradigm has been shifted by way of the patients program and the way in which it's being carried out here. I mentioned on a forum yesterday that one of the things that Dr. Mullins has done exceptionally well is at the very beginning, and Dr. Mattingly mentioned this also in this panel, he asked this question: what is it that you need to get? How can we help you? So research, you can change that paradigm. People are more willing to engage in something if they trust you. And by being engaged long before they actually need something, but rather they are authentically concerned about your needs, it builds that trust. And then out of that, people are more likely to set aside the practices of the past, understanding that the paradigm has been shifted. So that R word does not carry that negative connotation anymore. There's a member of mine here who's in the congregation now, who I remember I asked her to get involved in something years ago, and she did not want to initially until she realized that the people here at Patients cared. And once she saw that care, then she was willing to get involved. So that negative connotation can change and has changed by way of how it's executed here at Patients.
Yes. I brought that up. I tried to look at that. It wasn't the smoothest transition, but tried to bridge the two here, because I know mental health is a big thing. A lot of people are suffering, especially here in Baltimore City. All the trauma that our community has been faced with, these things impact us in many ways. So I know the church also is a place where, again, we commune. Sometimes that's our place of solace. So if it's an opportunity for us to build upon these pillars, how can we use one to build upon the other, this holistic health approach in the church by sharing, okay, it's okay. Sometimes people just shy away from therapy. Physical therapy, maybe, if it's an accident, some type of trauma that way. But if you say you need to go see a therapist, that's not usually the first thing a person would like, hey, let's go see a therapist. I need to get me a psychiatrist. I should go see a doctor about this issue that I've been having for years, or generationally it's been happening in my family. But it's okay. And, just that R word, research word, just being able not to use that or see that as a barrier. So the ways that we can express that in our communities, if it's church, if it's work, if it's school, research it's a good side to life as well. Research can be used in positive ways, and it has been used in positive ways, and thanks for the patient program, they continue to push this forward. Going back over to Ms. Natasha, in consideration to creating income in the stressful times that we're in, again, post-pandemic, some people are still unable to find jobs. What would you say, how important is it to identify creative income for yourself?
It's very important, but I'm going to say something before I go into that sentence. James 2nd says, faith without works is dead. I'm going to take faith and say action, right? We have to put forth the effort to get things done, right? So when you talk about that creative income, how many of you bake? How many of you sew? How many of you are online all the time, right? These are ways you can create residual income. There are people that are wealthy just from sitting home creating YouTube videos, right? There are things that you are passionate about in your life that you just need to take hold of and bring to fruition. If you're like, I don't know how to do this, Google. I heard the last panel say your best friend is Google. Google has, granted, it has good and bad, right? But for the most part, it has all the resources and tools you need to start your own business. I can tell you, somebody called me a hustler. Yes, I work for Truist Bank, but I have 3 other businesses, okay? So these are things that's gonna create generational wealth, right? So that way I can retire early. That's my goal, right? So I had a goal in mind. I wanna retire. Then I want to travel. That's you have to create a goal for yourself. What is it that I want to obtain? Do I want to pay off my debt? Do I want to purchase a house? But if it's something that you're passionate about at home, like I love baking, but I'm not selling you guys goods, but I could. Maybe I could turn that into a business. If I like gardening, maybe that's something I want to do. So think about your creative project that you're passionate about and then try to market it. And if you need help, your local bank is there to help you. Or what? Google. That's going to be our new word for today.
Yes, yes. Google is definitely great. You can find great providers, just different platforms. Everything.
Amazon, how many of you guys use Amazon a lot? Do you know you can sell your products on Amazon? I met a young lady yesterday, make $1.2 million a year just from selling products on Amazon. But guess where she got the products from? She didn't invent them. She purchased them from Alibaba. So there's so many products. So if you're, for the ladies and gentlemen out there, if you want to just market shaving cream or maybe eyelashes or nail polish, you can purchase it from a supplier, put your name on it, and sell it. I'm giving you a tool, as JC say, I'm giving you all this information for $1.99, but I'm giving it to you for free.
Right here.
Okay? So it's so many things around you that you can use to market for yourself. So you heard me, Alibaba. You can go on there. They have children's items. They have pets items. They have everything. You can put your name on it, sell it on Amazon. You send it to Amazon. They package it up, send it out. Of course, they're going to take their cut. And then you get to keep what? All of the other income. So I've given you some good information.
Great ways to keep your mental stress down is just getting extra income. You know, they say about 6 streams of income to help just to survive, get beyond survival, I'll say, because a lot of us stay in survival mode mentally and financially. So I myself look at that as an opportunity. I use art therapy, so that if you have other ways to just past habits or hobbies, hobbies can turn into money, can turn into new income. So great. That's a great one, Natasha. All right, while we had you, let's look at breaking down budgeting 101 and the best practices to keep wants and needs separate.
Okay, so the Patience program is all about framework, right? So we always hear about framework. So there's a budgeting framework. You can find a really quick budget framework. So here's my rule, 50, 30, 20. Create a budget. 50% for your income is for your needs, right? The other 30 is for your wants. And the last 20 is just for savings and or debt reduction. You can find any budgeting tool in my favorite word. What is it? Google. All right. And also your phones, right? So we have all these free apps. You can actually go to one of the free apps in your phone, because some people don't like writing things down. Some people don't like Excel. So you can actually go into your apps and look for free budgeting tool. And they have several. So you can actually track it while you're out shopping if you want to. But again, you still have to put in the work. I can lead you to the well, but I can't make you drink it. So all this information that you're getting today is free information, but if we're giving it to you, you're not using it, then what's the point, right? So I'm assuming all of you guys are here today to learn and to get a lot of information from today. So make sure you keep that 50, 30, 20 rule. Go online to Google and find a really good, I would say, budgeting tool that's good for you, or you can look in your phone and just download a free app, and it will walk you through Budgeting 101.
Yes. Budgeting 101. Google it if you don't know. Yes. So
I'm giving them a plug, right?
that is a great plug.
Or come to Truist. We do have one online.
Or go to Truist. Let them know Miss Natasha sent you.
Yes, thank you.
So many ways that financial health can impact our lives. So many ways that financial building just free up opportunity, being able to purchase. Sometimes they say you feel good, you look good. And if you got money in your account, you're going to make sure you look extra good. So, Mr. Chauncey, I want to just consider the physical fitness and the physical health. Could you give some tangible examples of how being physically healthy can affect the other 3 pillars of health?
I'm going to start with, I'm going to piggyback on Natasha, Google. But first, always check with your medical health professional, your doctor, before you start a fitness plan, and then you can Google. Because one of the things that can drain your finances, especially as you get to retirement, is not being in good health. You can Google that right now as I'm talking about it. So I heard, in respect to all the other pillars, but what are you without your health? What are you without you being here? One of the things, I've had many people come to me that have unbelievable financial health, and they have an unbelievable relationship with the Spirit. And I've been told many times that, Chauncey, if I could just walk, if I could just get my health back, if I could just quit those cigarettes, do the different things. They all are connected. They all are connected. And I'm here to tell you that your physical health is very, very important. And you can start 101, start with something simple. Walking is the exercise of Maryland. It's the exercise. If you start walking, you believe it or not, you never know the kind of conversations you can have. I'm going to piggyback off of Pastor Lance. The Patients Program, Dr. Mullins and the Patient Program have been coming out to our community health walks, building trust for 8 years, not for research purposes, but to come out to talk and walk with the community to see what the community needs are and see if they can help them. So all of it is connected. I'm the health fitness person, but remember, it's very, very important to think about your health. I just want to leave one thing. Next month, September, Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Wear blue. Last year, I was at a little meeting, and I asked the men, did they know when Prostate Cancer Awareness Month was? They didn't know it was September. They didn't know the color. In respect, they knew what October was, and they also knew the color. Please, this is for the men and the women out here. If you have someone of that age, encourage them to go get a checkup. Encourage the men to get a checkup. And remember, September, Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, blue.
And I wanted to just let you guys know how amazing Chauncey is. So I have to give kudos to Dr. Lance for introducing me to Chauncey. I'm down 32 pounds. I might have gained a little because I've been in Jamaica, but drinking a little too much. But when I went to him, I was stressed, right? Because I'm working a lot, got too many balls in the air. During COVID, you're home just eating bonbons or whatever you want to eat. And so when I went to him, I have like lower back issues, so I don't mind saying that. And so I was like, he would just make me exercise in a chair at first, right? And then as time went on, he would be upstairs somewhere, and I would be there early, rain, shine, whatever, and I'm doing these little ropes. And he come downstairs, and he's like, you're not in the chair. So he works with you. He is so patient. Even if you can't make it one day, he'll let you make it up the next day. So I just had to give him kudos. And for all those that are listening, if you want to like work out and you just need that extra motivation, he's the guy to do it.
Yes, yes. You know, there's no great value in having all this financial wealth if you're building generational wealth, if you don't have the life longevity. You know, if you don't have the good health to last, then it's no real value there. If you're passing on bad habits, like many of us are dying from obesity, cancer, diabetes. There's many things that just plagues us as a culture and community. So that physical health is not just exercising, but what we eat, what we put in our bodies as well. How we sleep. Yeah, because we got to give our body rest. One thing that I do not do is get sleep. And that's something that I'm learning, how it's impacting me. Yeah. So just understanding, again, these 4 pillars, they build upon each other to make you great. I had one more with the spiritual health, Pastor Lance. What does the research community need to know about being aware of a person's community, for me, like as an individual and or our community's spiritual health?
And so you heard the answer to that. You heard earlier when you were asking people for on which pillar they would focus. You heard a number of people talk about spirituality, and you've heard the panelists here talk about the others. So what the research community needs to understand is how important one's faith, regardless of his or her specific practice, how important that faith is to their overall health. I want to liken it to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I can't get to self-actualization unless my tissue needs are being met, and then my other levels are being met, right? And so I can engage in research, I can be anything else, but that foundation has to be there. And so for so many of us, that foundation is one spiritual walk, and so the research community needs to understand how important that is. there's actually research that shows how people do better when his or her care is actually connected to their spiritual beliefs.
Yes, I definitely concur. We about to wrap up. I just had one question that came from the audience, and this is for the entire panel. What do you think about professional therapy?
I love it. Get into it. Get into it. There are different types of therapy. There's group therapy, there's individual therapy. This is the opportunity for you to be able to really worry about you, because it's almost like when you're traveling to Jamaica and you're on the plane. What do they tell you when they're talking about the exits? That you can't help others if you don't take care of yourself first. And there's lots of, it'll take a little bit of research, a little bit of searching, but this idea of being able to connect other pieces that we're talking about here to therapy is helpful. You can find a therapist that focuses on spirituality and can use that in therapy so you can connect your spiritual health with your mental health, because it's all connected. There's art therapy. There's other types of therapy that really work on the body-mind connection. Another way of working things out. There's even case management and things of that nature that can help with the financial piece so that you have a better calm. But get into it. Therapists have therapists. I have a therapist. Get yourself a therapist. They're wonderful.
Yes. Give it up one more time for our panel. Yes. So we want to thank again Reverend Lance, Miss Natasha, Chauncey, and Miss Erica. Thank you all for coming out today. Rocking with us. Thank the patient program for having us and hosting us here with Dr. Mullins and the awesome patient program team. And I want to just say, hey, the 4 pillars of health, you can build upon each other one by one. Just if you prioritize one at a time and just kind of use that to flow. I said use that to flow. All right, thank you.